Okay, so hello everyone, Vertical Edge Tuesday night. I am sitting here with Brett Smith and Isabella Potter, and I kind of told you guys that we wanted to talk to them about the prayer groups that they're part of the school here. So I'm just going to ask them a bunch of questions, and they're just going to share what's on their hearts about it, okay? Okay? So I'll just kind of address this to Brett first. Okay, Brett, you go to Mouat. Okay, so you started your group last year. You and a friend.
Yep.
And you were in grade 11 then.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so why don't you tell us, like, was it difficult to get the group started?
Well, organizing and managing this group, wasn't as difficult as we thought it would be. In fact, we actually had quite a bit of support from one of our Christian teachers who managed to get a room for us to meet in. However, though, we started out with a pretty small number of kids, probably around 6 people. But, as the year went on, that number really increased dramatically in a really significant way. And what I mean by that is, by the end, students were starting to ask a lot more, in-depth questions about Christianity. And they're just more willing to, express their own thoughts and opinions of, their beliefs, their principles. And, it's also just a great way to get together and, just embrace the love of Christ. And, throughout the year, it's just been growing a lot. And, it's great. Now we've got so many kids. We're actually moving into the theater now. So this is just going to provide us with so many awesome opportunities to just expand our group even more.
Okay, so what do you call your group?
We call it the Connections Club.
Connections Club. So it's not like called a prayer group or a Bible study. You call it a Connections Club.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you call it that to make it feel more open to people?
Yeah, exactly. We want people to feel welcomed and all that. I mean, when we tell people, or when people ask us what is the Connections Club, we tell them that it is a Bible study group. We come together and it's very open, like discussion. Anyone can share any thoughts or opinions they have on a particular subject, or anything that's just on their mind. And yeah, we just straight out tell them what it's generally about.
Okay, so Isabella.
Yeah.
You told me that the group started last year, but that you and your friend Tessa, who goes to the high school youth group and used to be one of our leaders at Vertical Edge, that you guys basically started it this year. So why don't you tell us what is the purpose for your group?
Well, at our school there's a lot of distinction between those that are Christian and those that are not. It's obvious. And we just wanted to connect the two groups together, just socially. And what a better way to do that than to pray for our school so that that'll happen.
How is it obvious that you said there's a difference between those that are Christian and those aren't? And you said the difference is obvious. Why is it obvious?
Well, at my school, I go to Abbotsford Traditional. There are a lot of Indo-Canadians, and most of them are Sikh or atheist. And most of the white people at our school are Christians, so you can see the clear distinction between the two groups. Okay.
So how many people do you have coming out for your group now?
It's pretty small, like around 10 people, but we just started it a couple months ago, so we can see that it'll be growing. Like, it's already grown since the beginning of the year.
Now your group runs at lunchtime, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us, what do you do when you meet? What do you do in that time?
Well, first, usually either Tessa or myself, we will read a verse, and we'll just have discussion going, things that are going on in our lives, and just with our groups of friends, and just we'll just say the things that are on our heart so that we can pray for them, and then we'll get into prayer time, and then afterwards we'll just have lunch together in community.
So you guys share together, you pray together, and then you eat together.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you're exactly doing church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah, in that way there. Okay. Okay, so Brett, you meet at lunchtime also, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so Brett, why don't you tell us what you guys do in the time frame that you meet?
Well, this year we've kind of changed it up compared to last year. What we did last year is we kind of we'd start out with we first start to pray for each other. So if anyone had a prayer request they had, we'd bow down and we kind of separate into groups depending on how many people we had, and just pray for one another. And then what we do is sometimes the intern team here at Northview would sometimes share some of their messages or devotionals.
So some of the youth workers came in and
Yep,
shared.
that's right.
Okay. And so they did devotionals, and then do you guys eat together? Like Isabella was saying, that they eat together too.
No, and that's a really good idea. We haven't really done that at all, or we haven't done that at all, and that is a very good idea.
Okay.
Spend some time together.
See, our group is set up in the way that we are praying for the rest of the week. It's not so much as we're not missioning in our group, but we're praying to mission throughout the rest of the week at other lunch hours.
Can you explain that a little bit?
So we come together as Christians in community, and we just pray that at the other lunch hours we can talk to our non-Christian friends. We can share the gospel and just like in our classes. So it's not so much as a ministry, but it's prayer for ministry.
That's kind of like, what you're saying is kind of like a classic, like the train station mentality is where you guys are coming together, you're getting all fueled up together in community, and then you're actually heading out and doing ministry. So yeah, so another like a really good example of doing church there. Okay, that's very cool.
A couple other.
Is there, to do this, because for a lot of kids, this is going to be like a scary thought to do, right? Okay. Has it been scary for you? Like, was there anyone that was against you or mocked you and made fun or insulted you?
Yeah, for sure. We've definitely had people criticize us and mock us, make fun of us for doing this. But besides all those obstacles that we've encountered already, God's with us. He's in control, and no matter what happens, He is still at work within us. And we're that's not going to be a barrier that's going to prevent us from committing to this program. So yeah, we're gonna just continue to stay strong and just go all out and embrace the love of Christ for these kids.
Isabella, for you guys, we're talking about when you start up something like this, a lot of kids would think that it's scary. Was it scary for you and Tessa, or for the other kids involved? Was it like a scary thing? Like, were you insulted or criticized or made fun of?
Not at all. Like we just discussed it amongst other Christians, and everyone was just excited about it, and it just happened. It wasn't difficult at all.
Now, are you thinking, like, with your group, do you want your group to get super big, or like what size do you want your group to go to?
Considering we have a pretty small school, we want to keep it small, but we would like to see some growth, like maybe 20, 30 kids.
Do you guys want to meet on more than one day, or what you're doing, coming together and praying to be real missional, like to go out during the week? You want to keep it to the one day?
Yeah, I think we're going to keep it for one day, just because we don't want to just pray for the kids, but to actually be a light to them as well, not just talk about them and pray about them.
Yeah. No, I know. You don't want to have like a holy huddle where you guys are just like hiding in a classroom praying together, and then,
exactly.
Okay, then we go back to class, right? Okay, cool. So, one of the questions I want to ask you, Brett, is why should Christians meet in a community at school? Like, why should you guys do this at all?
I think it's very vital to actually meet in a school, just because you're surrounded in this atmosphere full of so much sinful immorality, and I think it definitely grows or it helps us grow deeper in our faith, especially when there's so many religions out there and atheists that despise Christianity, and by doing that, as tough as it may seem, it helps us have more faith and trust in God that He will still work within us. And and another thing is, it really makes us stand out. People really look at us as different people, and they wonder why we are so different. Why are we being so generous with all these different events that we set up, like the Love Mouat program, where for one whole week we do all these special events that involved just embracing the grace of God, and just showing them our love for them, and by doing that, they begin to see like this unique relationship that we have with God, and I think the goal there is to be an example of Christ, and through doing that we can lead people to Him, and we can encourage people to come out to this group, and I definitely believe that's a key factor in really drawing people in.
Well, sometimes Christians, like, they may go to a youth group or a church, but they might feel like they're alone in their school, especially public schools where there might not be a lot of Christians. And just coming together and knowing you're not alone is really encouraging, and that's where you can discuss what's going on in your other friendships with those who don't know Jesus.
Fantastic. And I think a huge part of it is for us, as Christians, to step up and maybe just share what's on our heart. I did one devotional last year, and it took me a couple of days to kind of reflect on what I was going to talk about. And, I could really feel God just speaking through me, and just having a real impact on these kids' lives. And I'm not I'm not a public speaker. I can't really speak in front of people, or I never thought I could. But with God on my side, it was awesome. Like, it was so easy to do, and I'm so thankful for that. And I think it's just great that He's dwelling within us, and just keeping His Holy Spirit within us this year.
Excellent. Isabella, are you ever, I know one thing that students may ask is that they're afraid that someone's going to ask them a hard question about faith or about the belief, and they're not going to be able to answer it. Do you have that fear at all, that someone's going to ask you questions that you can't answer?
Yeah, I think everyone has that fear to some level, but you have to understand that no one knows all the answers. God's the only one who knows everything. So if we're just humble and we can accept the fact that we're not always going to know the answers, but we can come back to people, or we can give them the best answer that we have, they don't expect that we're geniuses.
Okay, Jens. Have you ever been in a situation like that where you've had questions that you couldn't answer? And if so, how did you deal with it?
Quite honestly, I haven't really been in that many situations where I've been the one that's asked with really tough, challenging questions. I've witnessed a lot of other people, like Jamie, one of the interns who came and spoke last year. There were quite a bit of tough questions thrown at him, and he basically said something very similar to what Isabella just said, on how we don't know all the answers, and we should be humble about that. And I mean, it's that it's our job to pray to God that He will help you find that answer, and just help you have a really clear, firm understanding of what that means, of how you can apply that to your life.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so Brett, what are the benefits to having a prayer group in the school, or what you call it, the Connections group?
Yeah.
Connections Club, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what are the benefits to it?
Well, we really strongly believe that to grow in discipleship, it's better, or you can restart that kind of.
No, keep going. That's fine. Just speak louder. Okay. So Brett, we're having a laughing time here right now. We'll take this time while we're laughing to advertise Camp Luther Boo Fest. Sign up this week. Come on, do it. All right, back to it. All right. So
we really strongly believe that discipleship happens a lot better in the community, than not in the community. The community of faith is definitely, a significant driver in, growing in grace, and it's just it helps us understand a little bit about other people's backgrounds and their kind of whole perspective on life and all that. So it gives us kind of it's because you're so limited. Like when you're it's like, the church has been telling us for years, you have to hang out with people just like you, but I think that's rubbish because, you're only so limited in, what other people, other people and what their perspectives on life is.
So, okay, so I'm listening to you, Brett, and I'm going to kind of sum up what you said. You can tell me if I'm wrong, right? But what you're basically saying is get out of the church, live your life as a believer in the community that you're in, whether it's school or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And as you do that, discipleship will happen and you will grow more in Christ.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Isabella, what are the benefits to having a prayer group or Bible study or whatever you want to call it in your school?
Yeah, well, often we find that when we come together, we are just at the end very encouraged and we're just excited for what's going to happen. And sometimes even, like, maybe we're sad about something that's happening, but it's still exciting because we know that God's going to work through our group and that He's doing things that we might not have noticed if it weren't for the fact that we were praying for them.
Excellent. Brett, what about... Oh, Brett keeps farting. It's really funny. Okay, I'm joking. That was me. Okay. So, Isabella, what would you say to the middle school kids that are watching this, the vertical edge kids that are sitting there watching? You guys talked about what you're doing in high school. What would you say to the middle school student that it doesn't matter what school they're at, whether it's ATMS, Claiborne, Howe, Reimer, it doesn't matter. What would you say to them to help encourage them if this is something that they want to do in their school?
Well, I think if there's that desire in your heart to do this, I think you should go for it, whether you feel like you are able to lead it or not. I'm sure there's going to be older siblings or parents or maybe a Christian teacher that can help you along the way. Like, there's got to be someone that can help you and make it work.
Great. Brett, same question for you. What would you say to the middle school kids that are watching? And like I say, it doesn't matter what school they're from. I mean, you're at Mouat, so we've got like Howe and Chief Dan feeding into the school there for sure, right? But it doesn't matter where they are, whether they're Claiborne, Asia, whatever, right? What would you say to that middle school student who to encourage them who are thinking that they would really, really like to do this at their school?
I just want to start by saying that, no matter what opposition you may face or that you feel threatened by or intimidated by, just know that, God has a plan for you. And, if you have a desire to, start up a group like this in your school, go for it. God will work through you. It might seem extremely tough at times and, very difficult, because I'm going to be honest, there's going to be a lot of, people who will criticize you and mock you. But just trust in the Lord and just have faith that He will guide you every step of the way, and just take that step further and trust that He will keep His Holy Spirit within you. And I just really encourage you guys to really walk home with that and really reflect on is that something I want to do? Is that something I'd like to start in my school? And just think about that.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys very much for taking the time to do this. Get alive for you. Get alive for you.